Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me, where the snow is starting to melt. Um, we are going to get started in a few minutes in the training, but I like to start off with just a tip for success for those of you showing up early and on time. I really appreciate that you do. When you show up early and on time, LinkedIn lets other people know that, hey, we've started, let's get rocking and rolling. And I love the fact that people are getting in here and saying good morning from Houston, from Virginia. I like seeing that. Sometimes I forget to say, tell us where you're coming in from. Is it Jabricia? You need to come to my networking event on the 27th so that we can meet face to face and I can hear the name. But I appreciate you're the first comment I saw, and I appreciate it starting off in just a friendly way. That makes it a community more than just a training. Okay, so my tip for you today is coming out of the 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. If you haven't seen this book and you haven't heard me 1,000 times say, read it. I read this book over and over since 1997. Every year I read the book, and I read it cover to cover. And when I say I read it cover to cover, I mean I put my earphones on and I listen to it because I have it in audio now. But Stephen Covey has 7 habits. And last week I talked about habit number 1, which is be proactive. This week it's habit number 2, which is begin with the end in mind. And the tip I wanted to give you today related to this, and all day this week I'm going to talk about begin with the end in mind, is in order for you to have any kind of success. For example, today we're going to be talking about FPDS and finding opportunities that you could win. Beginning with the end in mind means, well, how much revenue do you want to make in 2025 or over the next 5 years, right? How much sales do you need in 2025? I was working with a customer and he was saying $10 million, and they're a bigger company, but $10 million. They need to make $10 million in sales, and that will get them where they want to go to the next stage. And that's really important because if you say $10 million, then we back it up and we go, well, how many proposals do we need to write? How many opportunities do we need to have in our pipeline? How many people do we need to talk to? So all of that kind of comes when you begin with the end in mind. And so that's my tip for you, for those of you showing up early and on time, as a thank you for that, is begin with the end in mind. Make sure you have your revenue goal or your sales goal in mind. All right, let me get my stuff ready here to dive into the meat of today's training. And welcome to those of you just getting here. Hey, by the way, really quickly, for those of you getting here and you're engaged, make sure you let others know this is your community. If each of us told one other person and encouraged them to come, the rest of us would all have 50 or 100 new connections potentially, right? And I have 36,000 connections. I'm doing good. But I want each of you to continue to build your network, because when you build your network, it's there for you when you need it. All right. Let me find my slides. I'm off to the races. So I get asked all the time, how can I win more government contracts? And this week, and so today is January 15th, January 14th through whatever the end is, 17th, 18th. This week, I'm talking about the answers to how can I win more government contracts by pointing you in the direction of the tools that the government has that allows you to find the opportunities you're looking for. More often than not, the answer to the question, how can I win more contracts, is have more slam dunk opportunities in your sales pipeline. So a sales pipeline is where you track the opportunities you're trying to win, whether you have a fancy tool like what we build on GovCon in a Box, or whether you have a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter as long as you're tracking it. That's your pipeline. And slam dunk opportunities in your pipeline. Slam dunk means it looks like this opportunity was written for me and for my company, right? And so that's a really important thing, is to have more of those opportunities in your pipeline. And that's what today's training is about. I'm going to talk to you about how to use FPDS to identify those opportunities. And I actually love FPDS because in FPDS, we're talking about opportunities that you can literally see the government has bought before, they've spent money, and there's a really good chance they're going to do it again. And differentiate that from trying to convince them of a problem and then a solution that you have when they never were thinking about it before, compared to they bought it year after year for the last 5 or 10 years. There's a good chance they're going to buy janitorial services or cybersecurity services next year as well. And FPDS really puts us in that position. Yeah, Danielle, I just saw cold in Alexandria. Well, my snow is still on the ground, so it's good stuff. All right, let me switch over and get us onto slides, and we'll be going through some slides on finding opportunities using FPDS. I'm going to break down the training. The bulk of the training I want to be inside of FPDS, so I show you how I use it. But I just want to talk a little bit about what is FPDS, so we level set for any of us who are not familiar. And then there is a set of criteria I like using before I go into FPDS, and just knowing I want to search for these things. And I'll talk about that briefly. And then I'm going to go into the live demo and drive forward. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonough. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I am super excited to have you here with me as I teach federal sales tips in the federal market. I screwed that up. Doesn't matter. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. And this is what I want for you. You can have a repeatable and predictable sales pipeline and revenue stream when you learn the skill sets and back up the process into things like FPDS as we go forward. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our newsletter, Government Contracting Success Newsletter. It is the largest government contracting newsletter on LinkedIn by far. And it's because we constantly are putting out information in there that we think you would like. I don't sell anything in there. I only sit there and try to help you sell to the government. I sell somewhere else. I don't have a problem selling. I just don't do it in there. And then the other thing is make sure you're tracking on this week's theme. Tomorrow's training is about how do I use USA spending as a way to find opportunities to pursue. FPDS and USA spending, they have obviously similar data since USA spending pulls data in from FPDS, but USA spending is like a friendly way to use it. And so I'll show you that, but it's also a great way to kind of stalk your competitors or the companies you like what they're doing, and you can just kind of mimic what they're doing. I'll show you how to do that tomorrow's training. So make sure you register for finding opportunities in USA spending. You can register here on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. If you're out there, come over to LinkedIn. By the way, if you try to connect with me, I'm open to connections. Just give me a little hint. That way I can tell the AI bots from somebody who was watching me on YouTube, for example, just say, hey, love the videos. Let's connect. That's more than enough. You don't have to rationalize it. I just need to know that you know me. All right. Oh, my gosh. So I need to work on this. Let me zoom this out. I want to congratulate the 100 clubs. Cecilia and Gus, Alex, you guys on my team are in here. Can you help me get a big slide tomorrow? I get caught up and I did not put, there's all sorts of new people who are in the 100 club and I want to celebrate you, and I will celebrate you in a big way when I get on there. I just get busy and I apologize. But the 100 club, it's really important for the rest of you to remember that really the 100 club are companies that are have a 100 score out of 100, their federal visibility score. How visible are they to federal buyers? You can go to GovCon in a Box. And actually, let me turn this off 1 second. You can go to govconinabox.com and you can find your federal visibility score there. When you go in and you find your profile, the top right-hand corner, you will see the score. When you click on the score, if you're a member already and it's free, then you can see the details of that score. If you're not, you just got to sign in, because I don't like sharing the details with anybody but the people who work for your company. So anyways, when you look at that, I tell you exactly what you need to do. You could do it on your own, and you can do it in a few days, right? Sometimes it might take you more than a few days, but if you've been around for a little while, then you can do it pretty quickly. We tell you how to jump up to 100 visibility. If federal buyers can't find you, then they can't buy from you, right? And getting into the 100 club is one step in that path towards making sure that they can find you. And again, I apologize to the companies that are in the 100 club. It's really important for me to do that. I just got caught up in another task, but I will absolutely have you in tomorrow's. So on the 16th. Okay, so quick introduction to Federal Procurement Database or Data System, FPDS. Really, this one's so much easier than SAM because the FPDS tool is designed to just be a repository of pretty much everywhere the government has spent money on contracts. And so when you think about all this $800 million or $800 billion that's spent in contracts, the government reports it there. The federal government, the beauty of the federal government is for the most part, it's full transparency. And so we can look in and see how our tax dollars are being spent. We're able to look in FPDS and see who won, what they sold, how much was the overall contract for, right? You're not going to find the itemized price list. That's a competitive piece of information. But you can see the total value and you can see who won and what they sold. Some things that are not in there generally are around the IC community or the intelligence community. And so think sensitive contracts or classified contracts. Anything the CIA is doing, for example, is not going to be in there for the most part, right? And so there's certain things that are not in there, but on average or whatever, the FPDS tool is a repository of where the government spends. For most of us, I would say 90% of us, what we sell, we'll be able to find in FPDS, and I'll show you that in a minute. I say it is the very best tool because I'm able to look and see who is buying what I'm selling. I'm able to sit there and see how they're buying it. We call this the acquisition approach or the procurement approach. And so I can see how they're buying it. I can see who has won those contracts. I can even see who were the contracting officers kind of having oversight. So if I want to get in and say, well, I know you sold or you bought this service 2 years ago, can I come in and talk about what we sell? Having a person that you can try to knock on their door is golden, and FPDS provides that for the most part. So we're going to dive into that in just a second, but that's a quick intro to FPDS. Here are some things I would like you to keep in mind when you're getting ready to search inside of FPDS and you want to find opportunities that you can win. The first thing you need to know is keywords. I'm going to show you this field, but there is a field called, I think it's description or something else bigger, but basically the description of what they bought. And inside there's a description. I bet you saw that coming. There's a description, right? And you want to be able to know what your top keywords are. I generally say have at least the top 5 to start with. My last company, I sold Microsoft SharePoint services. So SharePoint would be something I'm searching for. Microsoft is something I'm searching for. If I find an opportunity and in the description it says Microsoft Office licenses or something, well, I might follow that opportunity forward into the contracting officer to say, well, we do SharePoint. Anybody there needs SharePoint? And if you're buying Microsoft licenses for products, you might need my services. So things like that come from you knowing the top keywords that you sell yourself on. I don't particularly like NAICS codes for searching, but you want to know what they are. The reason I don't like them is because a NAICS code like 541511 is you search it and you'll get 10,000 things, and you're still going to have to use the keywords to narrow down. But it is important to know which NAICS codes, which PSC codes. These are just different ways the government defines what's out there. And then target agency, think about this. When you're going into FPDS, don't try to search everywhere. Ironically, I might do that a little bit in the demo, but you want to narrow down which agency am I trying to get into or which department. An example is I want to go into DHS. I've been there before, or I used to work there, or I was in the Coast Guard and I got out of the Coast Guard. Now I'm a contractor. Whatever it is, I might like DHS. We'll stick with DHS. DHS has, I think, 7 major agencies in it, like FEMA and Secret Service and TSA or whoever else is in there, right? I can't remember them all at the moment. But understanding that agency focuses your effort. You can always come back for another agency, but when you start finding opportunities that are in the same agency and you start seeing the contracting officers and you start reaching out, you can learn from one meeting to the next, all related to the same. Compare that to if you went after 10 different agencies. And the last thing is, if you do have designations you're going after, or if you got a teaming partner, like I'm starting a new company, it's called Nancy Co. And I don't know if you've heard of me say this, but on January 1st, I started a government contracting business called Nancy Co. My wife's name is Nancy, just to be able to demonstrate to you that if you follow the process, you can build a company in a year to $1 million in revenue. So I'm going to do that. At the end of the year, I'll sell it off or close it. Well, I can't close it, but I don't want to run a government contracting business, but I want to show you that I believe so much in my process that I'm going to do it myself, not just tell you what to do and go, listen to me, right? I've done it before and now I'm doing it again. And my point is when I go in to build that company, I know I'm going to team up with 8As. I'm going to go find 8A companies, and you can watch the Nancy Co videos on YouTube to learn why, but I'm going to find 8A companies to team up with. And so if I go into FPDS for what I sell, I might look for set-asides because then I can go back to a different 8A and say, hey, I'd like to go after this with you. You get half, I get half, everybody's happy kind of thing, right? And so understand when you go into a tool like FPDS, you want to know which criteria will help you narrow down the search. And I'll talk more as we go forward. You can, by the way, if you're more experienced, you can have more criteria like a contract vehicle, et cetera, that tightens it even more. Okay, so those are the slides. I'm going to go in a second, but I did want to do a quick shout out to Steel Toed, who's our newest marketplace company. And so our marketplace, we're trying to build it up of companies like Steel Toed that offer services to government contractors. So definitely check out the marketplace at govconninabox.com/marketplace. And Steel Toed, they do CMMC and CMMI type services. I really liked it because now CMMC is here. And if you're going into DoD, this is important. But as we go forward, these are the type of companies that are going to make everything we do possible to continue to be free at certain levels, like these daily trainings. So check out the marketplace. I appreciate it. Thank them if you see them. At the very least, in the comments, you can just say Steel Toed rocks. All right, so let's move in and just do a deep dive into focusing on opportunities that are in FPDS that I could put into my pipeline. Remember, the goal of this exercise, it's not deep dives, it's to find a bunch of opportunities that I think are slam dunks that can go into my pipeline. And so then we need to just have kind of a general number of what we're looking for. I might be looking for 10, let's say. That's a good start. And then I can dive in and I'll come back and do it again. Okay, so let me stop my sharing. Let me come over here and share FPDS, and we'll go rocking and rolling. If you have questions as I go along, throw them into the chat. If I don't get to them, I will come back and answer every comment and question inside the YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever, and hopefully be able to answer it to your satisfaction. Okay, this is FPDS. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to hit enter and go in. And so I just want to look here. Okay, so I'm going to use an example of a company that's doing land surveying. It happens to be one of our customers, so I might as well do my demos with something that could benefit them. But when you want to come in and do a search, I went into FPDS and I just quickly hit enter so I could get to this page. And now I'm going to build an advanced search. And I'm going to do a new search. And really quickly, I'm going to walk you through how I do the searching, how I analyze opportunities when I see them. My goal is, can I find 10 opportunities pretty fast, right? And so let me zoom in a little so you can see. So the first thing I'm doing is right here. It's the description of requirements. And I'm going to say land survey. We'll just start with that. And then I'm going to add another field in here really quick. And actually, the one I'm looking for is estimated. What is it an estimated of? Completion date. So right here is a field called estimated completion date. And what I'm looking for is contracts that were awarded, or I'm looking for contracts that were awarded that are expiring, let's say in the next 6 to 12 months, right? And so I don't want anything expiring in the next 3 months. That's too soon. I'm not going to be able to go after it. So I'm just going to go out there a little bit and say, I'm looking for contracts that are expiring in, let's say 5, and I know this is not 6 months, but this is fine. 5/1/2025 to, well, let's just say 12/31, right? 12/31/2024. Hopefully I did this correct. And I'm just going to do a search right from there and see what I got. Let's see what I screwed up. I might have screwed up the dates. And so let me just make sure I did not. Good. So the land survey is fine. I just got to fix the date really quick. So I'm going to add in that estimated completion date. And this time I'm just going to actually choose choose it here. So let's say May that to, I must have left the month off or something. And December 31st there. If I search, there you go. So I got 24 opportunities. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So right here at the top, you can see I got 24 opportunities. I don't actually know land survey business too well, but I'm going to come in and be able to look at this. And the next thing I'm looking to do is observe, first off, just what I'm seeing. Do I see a trend? Over here, if you look at the departments, I can see that Department of Agriculture and probably the Forest Service, there it is, the Forest Service has 12 opportunities and the Forest Service has 11. This instantly kind of makes me feel like I should be narrowing down on the Forest Service if I haven't. So I'm just going to click on Forest Service. And now I've limited the 24 down to 11. I'm like, fine, this is a good place. right away, some things I will see, and I know I'm moving fast, and this is designed, by the way, today's training is designed to inspire you to go become an expert at FPDS, right? You can go right over here and they've got training and help. I can teach you, but you can learn on your own. This is what makes me an expert is I watch all their trainings. I read all their documentation. I'm like, oh, that's how I use the tool. I'm not a wizard. I'm just experienced and I'm committed to becoming an expert at FPDS. You can do the exact same thing. But I do want to kind of give you ideas. You're like, oh, let me think about that. And the reason I said that is because one of the first things I see is right here, award type is a BPA call. And down here, you can see award type is delivery order. So a BPA call, what it tells me, a BPA is a blanket purchase agreement. That's a contract vehicle. And I'm like, oh, I want to track on that. Maybe there's contract vehicles I can go after. And there's ways to search that in FPDS. I'm not doing that today. I'll show you tomorrow because it's an easier way to do it in USA Spending. But being aware of what's out there. The other thing is I can look at my PSC codes and my NAICS codes to make sure whatever I'm choosing for land survey that I'm tracking on these NAICS codes. Okay, so then I'm looking at these 11 and I want to see, do they fit? The first thing I really am trying to do before anything else is I go into an opportunity and I scroll down here and I come right there to, it's a BPA, Land Integrated Management Resources. Survey of approximately 48 units, reduction project. I don't know what it is, but actually, I do know what our customer does, and I think this aligns a little bit to it. And here's the thing. When I'm in, and I'm going to look at a couple of more really quick, and I'll switch to a different thing outside of land survey. But when I'm looking at opportunities like this, that was the end of my search. If I was my customer, they would be able to know right away, oh, that is looks like a good fit for me. Then I just keep lining up a bunch of opportunities that look like a good fit. So I might spend an hour trying to do that. Then I come back and I spend a deeper time going into them. My first goal is I want to get a big pool of opportunities that I can keep reducing down to the 5 or 10 that are just solid slam dunks. All right, so I'm going to come down a little bit more. I noticed that there's, the first 3 are 3 different companies, right? The legal business name. That's really cool because sometimes I come in and I see the same company over and over. But I want to see if I can find a bigger opportunity. Actually, I'm going to come over here. Right here, I can sort. And so I'm going to say sort by action obligation. Basically, it's the size of the contract. So there's not a large contracts sizes for these. Like if I was doing software development, I could easily see, tens or hundreds of million size. All right, so let me look at this guy. One more. Remember I said I can come in here, and the reason I really love it is I can come in here and see, like Matthew, he's probably the contract specialist. The approved by in FPDS is now mandated to be the contracting officer, and that is really cool on this. I can go and to begin to pursue this person. And by the way, I can already see where it says forestservice.fed.us. For me, because I'm experienced, I'm like, I don't really think that's the real email. But I can take this person's name and the email, and I can go to Google, and I can probably find that there's it's probably like an fs.usda.gov or just an fs.gov type 1. So you can figure it out. Sometimes they mask the emails in here. It's no big deal. Just means we got to hunt a little bit more. But at least I know their name. And so let me come down to the description really quick. So here I come in and see this contract's intended for landline surveying services. I mean, you got to love this description. I love these people. And so here it's limited to retracement of the surveys, homestead entry surveys. This is exactly what my customer does, right? And so in a 30-second window, if I didn't talk so much, right? In a 30-second window, I'm finding an opportunity that looks good. Cool. Let me move to the next one. Let me move to the next one. Let me show you this example one more time and just use a different example. So I'm going to get rid of the contracting agency over here and the description. Fun thing for me is, you see how I did land survey? I could come in, actually, hold on one second. Let me go see another word that they use. So they do something called subsurface surveying, subsurface. Let me just see if subsurface comes up. It's like, all right, there you go, 61 subsurface things. I don't even know what they are. And I'm going to sort it by action obligation. All I did was change the word here in the description. Let me zoom in really quick, right? Description of requirement, I changed it from land survey to subsurface. So they're looking below the ground and they're, basically surveying what's under it, compared to surveying the, properties or something. So here, now we got energy department, 17 million. I don't know what it is, but it's big. So let me go look at it and see if it's a fit. So again, here are the people, and you can see contracting specialists. In this case, it's the contracting officer prepared it. And then I'm going to come down here and look at the description. So here it's, okay, so for the removal disposal of building slabs and subsurface piers, so I instantly can see this is not what they want, right? This word might not be a good one for me to search on. I'm going to look one more time. So if I come in here, I'm going to look at, actually, I don't want the Department of Energy though. Yeah, these guys are fine. So $1 million for whatever this thing is. So I'm going to scroll down to the descriptions. I'm going to zoom into the descriptions. And this effort will develop and demonstrate launch and recovery capabilities of the Navigator. Without a human in the loop, we're subsurface. Dubbed the subsurface. I think this is like sending it to Mars or something. So I can instantly see maybe subsurface is not the best thing for me. Or maybe I need another word that goes with subsurface. Like, let me just show you really quick. Where am I going? Subsurface utility. I think that was right. Okay, so subsurface utility is way more specific. It turns out when I went back and looked at keywords, that's what they actually look at. And if I come down here, services to perform subsurface utility engineering. That is exactly what they do. So I just found 2 opportunities doing that keyword. And this goes back to this idea that I was sharing with you. Let me stop sharing, find myself. This idea that I was sharing with you is that when you go to do searches in FPDS and you've got keywords, 5 keywords to start, and I might go in with 10 or something, but if you've got 5 keywords to start, then you're able to keep switching around and doing that searching, and you start finding opportunities. And I'm doing training, so I'm doing a whole bunch of talking, but imagine if all you're doing is searching, opening it up, going to the description, reading it, saying yes or no, does it feel like it might be a fit? It doesn't even have to remotely be a slam dunk yet. It just has to look like, hey, that looks good. That looks like us. Let me put it over here for a second. Look at the next one. And you can build a list, like in 15, 30 minutes, you can build a list of 25 or 30 opportunities that you then say, okay, now let me spend 30 minutes looking a little deeper at each one. Is it the target agency I want? If I read the words more, does it seem like it's a good fit? If I had 30 opportunities, I would instantly tell myself, cut half. I don't care what you do, cut half. And that would make me look at that description even harder. Hopefully that makes sense on those steps that are in there as you look at the criteria, etc. Here's what I want you to remember. I don't know if I actually wrote this down. So, oh no, it goes back to the good things, right? Is make sure you're focused on what you want. Your focused, clear, focused offer allows you to do so much better research that allows you to find opportunities that are slam dunk that if they had walked up to you and said, is this something you can do? You go, oh my God, that is the best thing we do, right? It allows you to find this in FPDS and then open up a lot of tabs like I talked about, and then only pick the slam dunk. There's a rule I have in pipeline population. If anybody, including you, has to rationalize why it's a good opportunity, it's not a slam dunk. It doesn't mean it doesn't go in the pipeline. It doesn't mean you keep, you keep pursuing it. But what I would rather you do is only pursue slam dunk opportunities. But even if you don't pursue even if you have a non-slam dunk opportunity, don't call it a slam dunk. Make sure you're understanding that's an exception. But the reality is, if you search FPDS, I guarantee you're going to find enough opportunities that are slam dunk that they'll push the other opportunities out of your pipeline, enabling you to focus on what you can win because you're the best at it. Don't forget tomorrow's training on Expand on Today. So USA Spending is tomorrow. Same thing. How do I find opportunities for 2025 to get into the pipeline? If you haven't done so already, make sure you register for our virtual networking event. It's free. We had 240 plus people registered for this past Monday, a couple days ago. But it's on January 27th. You can go to govconinAbox.com/networking, and you'll find the link in there, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile. It's on there. But make sure you register. And if you're already registered, please invite 5 other people. You can just go into the event, and it gives you an option to invite other people. But if each of us bring 5 other people, imagine if 100 of us did that. Your network and mine, right? But our network, our community will continue to grow as other people become aware of the networking event, et cetera. So, hey, hopefully I see you in the next training. Either way, between then and now, just remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.